Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. We shot him, but he just laughed. And then the nightmare began. Commander Vex Rezo stood at the panoramic window of Outpost Delta 7, his forearms crossed behind his back, as he gazed out at the crimson desert, stretching endlessly before him. The twin suns of this forsaken sector cast long shadows across the crystalline defense towers, their purple energy barriers humming with enough power to vaporize a small moon. Commander Lieutenant Kira Nexus burst through the sliding doors, her scales shifting from their usual calm blue to an agitated green. "We have another anomaly on the long-range scanners, Rezo." Rezo turned slowly, his cybernetic eye whirring as it adjusted focus. "Third one this week, Nexus. The humans are getting bolder." He clicked his mandibles in annoyance. "Show me." The holographic display sprang to life in the center of the command center, casting an eerie glow across the metallic walls. A red dot pulsed at the edge of their territorial boundary, moving with deliberate purpose toward their position. "Single biosignature this time, sir," Nexus reported, her claws dancing across the control panel. "There's something odd about the readings." Rezo leaned forward, his natural eye narrowing. "Odd how, Lieutenant? The energy output is off the charts. No human should be generating this kind of signature. And look at these movement patterns. They're not trying to hide at all." The commander's exoskeleton bristled. In his 15 cycles of defending this outpost, he'd never seen anything quite like this. The humans were usually more subtle in their approaches, sending stealth teams or automated probes. This was different. This was, what was that Earth expression? A middle finger raised high. "Get me General Blitz Ravenclaw," Rezo ordered, moving to his command chair. The seat adjusted to his form, neural interfaces connecting with his augmented nervous system. "And power up the defense grid. All of it." "Sir?" Nexus hesitated. "The full grid? That's enough firepower to level a city." "Yes," Rezo finished. "And yet something tells me we're going to need every joule of it." The massive generators beneath the outpost hummed to life, sending vibrations through the reinforced structure. Outside, weapon systems emerged from hidden bunkers, their barrels gleaming in the harsh sunlight. Automated defense drones took to the sky, their anti-gravity drives leaving ripples in the air. "General Ravenclaw responding," announced the AI as the holographic form of their superior materialized in the command center. "Rezo," the general's mandibles clicked in greeting. "This better be important." "I was in the middle of." "Sir, we have an incursion." Rezo cut in, knowing it would cost him, but not caring. "A single human walking straight toward our most heavily fortified outpost in the sector." The general's compound eyes widened slightly. "A suicide mission." "Unknown, sir, but the energy readings." Rezo gestured to Nexus, who transferred the data to the general's feed. There was a long pause as Ravenclaw studied the information, his scales shifting through several colors before settling on a deep purple, a sign of serious concern among their kind. "Rezo," the general's voice had lost its usual edge of condescension. "That outpost cannot fall. Whatever this human is, whatever they're planning, they cannot be allowed to breach our defenses. The secrets we protect there." "Understood, sir." "See that you do, Commander. Otherwise, I'll have to implement Protocol 0. The hologram vanished, leaving the command center in tense silence. Protocol 0. The complete atomic destruction of the outpost and everything within a 100 kilometers radius. It would mean their deaths, but it would also ensure their secrets remained buried in radioactive ash. "Sir," Nexus's voice was quiet. "The human has crossed the outer marker. They'll be in weapons range in 3 minutes." Rezo turned back to the window, watching as the distant figure became visible, a tiny speck against the vast desert. His artificial neural enhancers were already calculating firing solutions, analyzing wind patterns, predicting movement vectors. "Patch me into the external comms," he ordered. When Nexus nodded, he spoke, his voice booming across the desert. "Human, you have entered restricted space. Halt your advance immediately, or we will open fire." The figure kept walking, steady and unwavering. "This is your final warning." Rezo tried again. "We are authorized to use lethal force." Still no response. 2 minutes to weapons range. Combat stations. Rezo barked, all 4 arms moving to their control interfaces. Power up the primary defense batteries. Load the heavy ordnance. Around him, his crew scrambled to their positions, the atmosphere electric with tension. They had trained for this, drilled for every possible scenario. But somehow, watching that lone figure march toward them, with such confidence made Rezo's exoskeleton crawl. "Sir," Nexus called out, her voice tight. "They're in range." Rezo's mandibles clicked together, a prayer to the old gods escaping them. Target locked. "Yes, sir. All weapons have a clear shot." "Then may the ancestors forgive us," Rezo whispered. "Fire." The desert erupted in hellfire. Plasma bolts thick as transport ships screamed across the sand, their superheated trails leaving glass in their wake. Defensive turrets spat streams of hypervelocity rounds, each one capable of punching through battleship armor. The air itself seemed to burn as energy weapons turned the target zone into an inferno. For 30 seconds, they poured enough firepower to level a small city into that single spot. When the barrage finally ceased, a mushroom cloud of vaporized sand rose into the crimson sky. "Direct hits confirmed," Nexus reported, her scales rippling with satisfaction. "Multiple impacts on target. No way anything could have." "Movement detected," the AI interrupted, its artificial voice somehow managing to sound confused. Rezo's cybernetic eye zoomed in through the settling dust, his organic eye widened in disbelief. "Impossible." The figure emerged from the chaos, clothes slightly singed but otherwise unharmed. And now they could see him clearly, a human male wearing what appeared to be standard Earth military fatigues. He was smiling. "Sir," Nexus's voice cracked. "Scans indicate the target is completely intact. No significant damage detected." The human raised a hand in greeting and spoke, his voice carrying clearly through their audio pickups. "Hey there. Name's Marcus Stone. Nice light show. Mind if we talk?" Rezo's neural enhancers were screaming warnings, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Scan for shield technology, dimensional displacement, anything that could explain this. "Nothing, sir," Nexus replied, her claws flying over the controls. "He's generating mass energy readings, but we're not detecting any defensive systems. It's like it's coming from him." "Initiating diplomatic protocol," Rezo announced, trying to keep his voice steady. He opened the external comms again. "Marcus Stone, you have survived our warning shot. Explain your presence in this restricted zone." The human laughed. Actually laughed, and kept walking. "Warning shot. Come on, we both know that was your big guns. Look, I'm here about the experiments you're running. The ones you think we don't know about." Rezo felt his scales go cold. "Lieutenant, prepare the orbital strike package." "Already on it, sir." "Marcus Stone." Rezo tried again. "This is your final opportunity to retreat. We have orbital weapons locked on your position." "Yeah, better make it count then," Stone shouted back cheerfully. He spread his arms wide, as if welcoming the incoming destruction. "See, I got to tell you, after what your little science project did to me, I'm really curious to see what's inside that base of yours." "Orbital strike ready," Nexus reported. "Execute." The sky split open as a lance of pure energy struck down from their satellite network. The impact was blinding, the shock wave powerful enough to make the reinforced outpost shudder. When their visual feeds recovered, a glowing crater marked the point of impact, and in its center, brushing dust off his shoulders, stood Marcus Stone. "Okay, that one tickled a bit," he called out, rolling his neck. "My turn." Before Rezo could respond, Stone moved. One moment he was in the crater, The next, he was halfway to their outer defenses. The speed was impossible for any normal human. All units, open fire. Everything we have. Rezo roared. The air filled with death again, as every weapon on the base targeted the approaching figure. Plasma, bullets, energy beams, and exotic particles designed to tear apart matter at the subatomic level, all focused on one human who just wouldn't die. Stone walked through it all, occasionally swatting away projectiles as if they were annoying insects. You know, his voice came through clearly despite the chaos. I was kind of hoping you'd be reasonable about this, but hey, if you want to do it the hard way. He reached the outer defense barrier, the same barrier rated to stop capital ships, and placed his hand against it. The purple energy field sparked, sputtered, and died. Sir, Nexus's voice was barely a whisper now. He's not just resistant to our weapons. He's absorbing them. The energy readings from his body are off the scale. Rezo watched as their most powerful weapons simply dissipated against Stone's approaching form. His cybernetic systems were already calculating their survival chances. The numbers weren't good. "Get me General Ravenclaw," he ordered. Tell him we need to discuss Protocol Zero." As if hearing him, Stone looked directly at the command center window and winked. Now, he called out. "Let's not do anything hasty. I just want to have a friendly chat about what you did to me and my team 6 months ago. You remember that, right? The abandoned research facility. The harmless experiments." Rezo's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress in his species, because he did remember. And now he understood exactly what they were dealing with. They hadn't just shot a human. They'd shot their own greatest mistake, and he just laughed and kept on coming. "Breach in Sector 7. A panicked voice screamed over the comm. "He's through the outer wall." "How?" Rezo demanded, all 4 arms gripping his command chair. "That wall is 3 meters of reinforced quantum steel. He just walked through it, sir. Left a human-shaped hole, like in those Earth cartoons." The base's internal cameras showed Marcus Stone casually strolling through their corridors, whistling what their databases identified as, "Another one bites the dust." Security teams rushed to intercept him, armed with everything from sonic disruptors to antimatter pulse rifles. "Hello, boys," Stone waved at the first team he encountered. "Nice guns. Mind if I try one?" Before they could react, he crossed the distance in a blur, plucking a weapon from the nearest guard's hands. The alien soldiers stumbled back, scales turning pale with terror. "Let's see." Stone examined the rifle with exaggerated interest. "Antimatter containment chamber, quantum oscillator. Pretty neat." He pointed it at a wall and pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. "Oh right, forgot to mention. Tech tends to stop working around me these days. Side effect of your little enhancement project, I think." The security team opened fire. Energy beams, projectiles, and waves of destructive force all converged on Stone. The corridor filled with smoke and debris. When it cleared, Stone was examining his singed sleeve with mild annoyance. "You know how much these uniforms cost?" "Actually, I don't either. Taxpayers foot the bill. But still, rude. Fall back." The team leader screamed. "Emergency Protocol 7. Stone appeared beside him in an instant, patting him on the shoulder. The alien soldier fainted dead away. "Sir," Nexus's voice shook as she watched the feeds. "His energy absorption is increasing exponentially. Every weapon we use against him just makes him stronger." Rezo's cybernetic eye whirred frantically, trying to process what he was seeing. His natural eye was fixed on the monitor showing Stone's casual advance through their most secure facility. "The containment units," he whispered. "If he reaches the containment units." "Commander," General Ravenclaw's hologram burst to life. "Your perimeter is breached. Explain yourself." "Sir, our weapons are useless. He's some kind of energy absorber. The experiments we conducted are classified beyond your clearance." Commander, Ravenclaw snapped. Initiate Protocol 0 immediately. With respect, sir. Rezo's mandibles clicked rapidly. A nuclear response would only make him stronger. You don't understand what we're dealing with. On the screen, Stone had reached a heavy blast door. He knocked politely. Anyone home? Pizza delivery. Sir. Nexus interrupted. You need to see these readings. His cellular structure. It's not just absorbing energy. It's evolving, adapting in real time. Every attack creates new defenses. He's literally becoming invincible before our eyes. The blast door crumpled like paper as Stone pushed through. A squad of elite guards met him with their most exotic weapons. Temporal disruptors designed to age targets to dust. Spatial shredders that could tear holes in reality itself. Stone walked through the barrage as if taking a spring stroll. You know, he commented to a particularly terrified guard, I was pretty mad at first. Being turned into some kind of perpetual energy battery hurt. A lot. But honestly, he gestured at the havoc around him. This is kind of fun. Commander, one of the bridge officers called out. He's approaching the main reactor. Rezo felt his heart stop. The reactor, a miniature star contained by fields of pure thought, could power a continent. If Stone absorbed that much energy, evacuation protocols, he roared. All personnel abandon the base. This is not a drill. Belay that order. General Ravenclaw's hologram flickered angrily. Anyone who abandons their post will be executed for treason. Better dead for treason than dead for stupidity. Stone's voice came through their comms, somehow having hacked their secure channel. Hey, General. Long time no see. Still keeping secrets. The General's hologram actually stumbled back. Stone. Impossible. The testing chamber. The overload. Yeah, about that. Stone's voice turned sharp, though he maintained his casual tone. Turns out when you pump enough exotic energy into human cells, weird things happen. Speaking of which, the base shuddered as Stone reached the reactor room. Through the security feeds, they watched him approach the containment sphere, whistling again. Don't. Ravenclaw screamed. The reactor breach protocols. Oh, you mean these. Stone held up a handful of destroyed control circuits, already taken care of. Now, let's see what this baby can do. He plunged his hand into the reactor core. Alarms screamed across the facility as energy readings went astronomical. Stone's body began to glow, his eyes burning with stellar fire. Sir, Nexus whispered. His energy signature. It's higher than a small sun. Rezo watched in horror as the human's body absorbed the power of their reactor, his form becoming almost too bright to look at. And still, impossibly, he was smiling. Now then, Stone's voice boomed through every speaker, every comm channel, the very walls themselves. About those experiments you've been running on other humans, I think it's time we had a proper chat. The General's hologram vanished, leaving Rezo alone with his crew and an impossible human who had just become a god. So, Stone's glowing form turned toward the command center. Who wants to go first? Rezo stood from his command chair, mandibles clicking in resignation. I will speak with you, Marcus Stone. But first, release the reactor's containment. Even your new abilities might not survive if it goes critical. Stone considered this, then shrugged. The blinding glow around him dimmed as he fed energy back into the reactor core. Fair enough. Always did prefer a civilized conversation, anyway. Sir, Nexus protested. The security protocols are pointless now. Rezo cut her off. Patch him through to the command center. Full holo form. A moment later, Stone's image materialized in their midst, still crackling with residual energy. Up close, they could see the changes their experiments had wrought. His skin had a metallic sheen. And his eyes looked like distant galaxies. 6 months ago, Stone began casually, leaning against a control panel that sparked and died at his touch. Your research team grabbed me and my squad. Said they were conducting routine medical screens. Remember that part, Commander? Rezo's cybernetic eye whirred as it accessed sealed files. Project Prometheus. Classified level ultra black. We were attempting to upgrade ourselves by using humans as lab rats. Stone's smile didn't waver, but the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Want to tell them what happened next? The experiments failed. All subjects died during the energy infusion process. Except me. Stone finished. And you want to know the really funny part? Your scientists were so focused on their readings that they didn't even notice when I stopped dying and started adapting. Nexus pulled up the classified files, her scales paling as she read. The Prometheus protocol was designed to create soldiers who could manipulate energy at its fundamental level, but our biology couldn't handle the process, so you decided to test it on humans. Stone nodded. Because who would miss a few missing soldiers? But here's what you didn't know. Humans are really, really good at adapting. Push us hard enough. He snapped his fingers, and every piece of technology in the room went dead. Then, with another snap, it all came back online. We push back. The energy infusion, Rezo whispered. It should have torn your cells apart. Instead, Stone's eyes flashed. It rewrote them. Every blast of radiation, every surge of power, every attempt to destroy the failed experiment just gave me more control, more understanding, more power. The classified files told the rest of the story. How Stone's vital signs had flatlined for 6 minutes during a procedure, how the research team had celebrated their apparent success when he revived, and how everything had gone wrong when they realized they couldn't control them. Your scientists panicked. Stone continued, pacing the command center. Tried to overload the testing chamber's reactor to eliminate the evidence. Really should have read up on human survival stories first. Nexus's claws flew over her console. The energy readings from that day, they're identical to your current signature. Just weaker. You've been growing stronger. Give the lady a prize. Yeah, it turns out nearly dying in an exotic radiation blast doesn't kill you if your cells learn to eat energy for breakfast. Who knew? Rezo's organic eye narrowed. You could have attacked us at any time in the past 6 months. Why wait? Why now? Stone's smile finally faded, because I needed to understand what I'd become. Needed to learn control. And most importantly, his form flickered, appearing instantly beside Nexus's station. I needed to find the other facilities. The other experiments. There are no other, Rezo began. Don't lie to me. Each word from Stone dropped the room's temperature further. I can sense them. Little pockets of the same energy that changed me. So here's what's going to happen. He moved to the central holotable, interfacing directly with it through his altered biology. A map of the sector appeared, showing dozens of hidden facilities. You're going to shut them all down. Release anyone you're holding. And then you're going to help me track down everyone involved in Project Prometheus. Stone's voice was still casual, still almost friendly. Because if you don't, he touched the holotable again, and the map changed, showing the possible results of him visiting each facility the way he'd visited this one. The projections were apocalyptic. Impossible, one of the bridge officers whispered. The calculations show your power level would increase exponentially with each facility's energy you absorb. You'd become unstoppable. Stone laughed. Buddy, I passed that point somewhere between your orbital strike and the reactor snack. Now I'm just trying to do this the nice way. Rezo slumped in his command chair. Everything they'd feared about human adaptability, human resourcefulness, human sheer bloody-minded determination to survive, they'd proven it all true in the worst possible way. You understand, of course, he said quietly, that helping you will be considered treason. Stone shrugged. And experimenting on sentient beings was what? Community service. Come on, Commander. We both know your superiors will disavow all knowledge of this project the moment it goes public. Might as well do the right thing for once. The command center fell silent as Rezo considered their options. They had none. Sir, a new voice cut through the tension. Priority transmission from High Command. Before Razo could respond, every screen in the command center lit up with the same message. Protocol 0 initiated. Remote override. Detonation in 3 minutes. Stone's eyes narrowed. Now that's just petty. No, Razo breathed, his scales turning ash gray. They can't. My crew. Your crew. General Ravenclaw's hologram reappeared. Are acceptable losses to prevent this abomination from spreading. Stone's power must not be allowed to grow. Stone turned to the hologram, smile still firmly in place. You know what's funny, General? You think you're the scariest thing in this room. But I've seen what's in your other facilities, the things you're trying to create. And compared to those, you're just a bureaucrat with a big red button. 2 minutes to detonation. The base AI announced calmly. Nexus looked at her commander. Sir, orders. Razo stood, drawing himself to his full height. Begin evacuation procedures. All personnel to emergency transport. Belay that. Ravenclaw roared. Anyone who leaves dies a traitor's death. Better than dying a coward's death. Razo snarled back. Then, to everyone's surprise, he turned to Stone. Can you stop it? Stone raised an eyebrow. The nuclear detonation. Sure, child's play at this point. But his smile turned predatory. I want something in return. 1 minute, 30 seconds to detonation. Name it, Razo said, even as Ravenclaw screamed protests. A choice, Stone said simply. Help me shut down the other facilities. End these experiments, or, he gestured at the countdown. Try your luck with the blast. You'd let them all die. Ravenclaw laughed. Some hero. Says the man who just triggered a nuclear bomb under his own people. Stone shot back. Then, to Razo. Tick-tock. Commander, what's it going to be? 1 minute to detonation. Razo looked at his crew, loyal soldiers who'd followed his orders without question. He looked at the classified files still displayed on their screens, showing the true horror of what their military had been doing. Finally, he looked at Stone, this impossible human they'd created through their own arrogance. Nexus, he said quietly, initiate data transfer protocols. Send everything we have on Project Prometheus and its related facilities to Stone's neural signature. You fool. Ravenclaw's hologram flickered with rage. You'll doom us all. 30 seconds to detonation. No, General. Razo's mandibles clicked in determination. We doomed ourselves the moment we decided to play God with other species. Stone is just the universe's way of balancing the scales.